Mortgages for contractors. There are a lot of people that find it more lucrative to work as a contract worker than a full-time employee. The benefits that you can make in your pocket sometimes do hit you when you are trying to get a mortgage. As a contractor, you might find it a little bit more difficult getting a mortgage, especially from the high street lenders. This is where a specialist mortgage lender comes in. This is where they can help. Quite often, what they're going to need to see is a minimum 12 months track record of contracting. So if this is your very first contract, you may struggle, but a specialist lender can still help you. A few mortgage lenders can consider day one contractors with relevant industry experience in previous employed role. So that means if you previously were working as a project manager and then you've decided to go into contracting, but for the previous 5 years you were full-time employed as a project manager, then they will consider that. This is why when you speak to your broker, you need to have your contracts prepared. You need to have at least your last 5 years history prepared, that they can ask you the questions and you can answer the relevant questions. The current fixed term contract needs to have at least 3 months left to run. Some banks and building societies require 6 months. Some lenders will lend to contractors when they're out of contract if they have a new contract starting within the next couple of months. Every aspect of getting a mortgage is very unique. So there's not one criteria that will cover everyone in every circumstance. This is why speaking to a knowledgeable broker in advance of your need is advisable. I also would say if you are considering going into contracting, what you want to do is consider what that will look like when you go to remortgage or when you go to get a mortgage. So think about these things in advance. As I always say, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. More about mortgages for contractors. The things that you are going to want to consider: are you paid through an umbrella company? What does your contract actually say? How long do you have left on your contract? And are you currently between contracts? I'll drill down a little bit on the umbrella company situation. If you are paid through an umbrella company, it will limit the lenders that will actually lend. There will be a specialist lender that will lend, but it will limit the lenders that will lend. Some lenders will not lend to contractors if they're paid through an umbrella company. And just as a word of advice, if you are paid through an umbrella company, because of all of the stories I've been reading about some umbrella companies that aren't actually set up correctly, make sure you review your umbrella company and understand and make sure that they are paying the correct taxes for you, etc. If you're not sure, please check. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure that you share feedback, because I make these videos that individuals can make informed choices. These videos are not designed to replace speaking to a licensed broker who understands your individual circumstances. I'm not giving legal advice. I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just talking you through different scenarios, and each scenario will be different. So make sure you speak to a licensed broker. Have you been self-employed for less than 3 years and found it difficult to get a mortgage? I've helped lots of self-employed people who have less than 3 years of SA302 and less than 3 years tax overview. So let's first understand the self-employed under 3 years. For self-employed individuals seeking a mortgage, lenders typically require evidence of stable and sufficient income over a period of time, usually 2 to 3 years, to assess affordability. But as I said, I can help you even if you have just 1 year. This often includes providing certified accounts, SA302 forms, and tax year overviews from HMRC. Lenders also consider factors like deposit size, credit score, and the nature of the business when assessing self-employed mortgage applications. As a self-employed person, you might find it a little bit more challenging getting a mortgage, especially if you go directly to the high street bank. This is where a specialist lender fits perfectly. Even if you have just 1 year's SA302 and tax overviews, in most cases, I'll be able to get you a mortgage. It's very rare that I can't get somebody a mortgage. It may be that I can't get them the mortgage for the amount that they're looking for, which is very different than not being able to get a mortgage. As a self-employed person, a few things that you're going to want to make sure. Remember, if it isn't documented, it did not happen. So be very careful when you're speaking to an accountant or hiring an accountant to make sure that all of the money that you're making is properly accounted for and that you're paying the appropriate taxes. These tax efficient schemes quite often come back and bite you when you're trying to get a mortgage, because if you're just saying on your tax returns that you made X amount, but you actually made more, 9 times out of 10, when you come to get your mortgage, you're going to tell me about the more, but there's no way of evidencing that. So you want to consider, do you have at least 1 year's SA302 and tax overview? Do you have a separate business account? When I was a bank manager, I'd see this all the time. People would use their personal bank account for business purposes. Not only is that a violation of the terms and conditions of a personal bank account, it's not going to help you when you come to get a mortgage. Don't commingle your personal finances and your business expenses.